Welcome back to the Students on Success podcast. Today we have Rayna, who is a biochemistry and biochem triple major. I didn't even know you could do that. I was a double major with a minor and I was proud of that, but apparently you can triple major, so that's awesome. So welcome, Rayna. I tutored and did SI with Rayna since freshman year, and then she's taken my spot and probably surpassed me at this point. So can you tell us a bit about yourself? And so your name, major, I did all of that. So why'd you choose LaSalle, Rayna?
Okay, well, my dad and my uncle both came to LaSalle back in like the 1980s, maybe 1990s. So it was always in the back of my mind, like when I was choosing colleges, I was like, oh, I do like LaSalle for like the legacy aspect. But then actually coming here and touring, I really did like it. And I ended up getting a scholarship. So that just solidified like why I came to LaSalle. And I'm really happy I have, because I really love all the people I've met and it's just a nice place to be.
I was actually just at LaSalle. So funny, a friend of mine is like dating a girl from LaSalle. So I was on campus with her and I was just like, it's so funny to be back here. And she said the same thing. The one thing I hear from people is it's the people at LaSalle that make it. And I felt the same way, like my roommates and the teachers I had, like obviously it's a small school, in Philly, so whether or not you like the area, but everyone I talk to, they say the people are the reason, like they really like LaSalle.
Yeah. If you want like a community, LaSalle is the place to go.
Yes, agreed. So you were identified as a successful student. So as I know, sneak peek, Rayna got accepted into a medical school. I'm very proud of her. So obviously she's very successful, but in all aspects, every course, I remember tutoring you, and I was like just beginning my tutoring career, and I remember you came every week, and I said to my supervisor, I was like, this one girl knows everything, and she's still at tutoring all the time. And he said that is the best students go to tutoring every week, and you ended up with A's in probably all of your classes. I'm very confident. So it is like, I think sometimes students feel like it's the ones that are struggling that benefit from tutoring. I would say it's the people who come every week. Like you would be surprised, the top students in classes are the ones using tutoring. And then now you're a tutor too. So I found in undergrad, tutoring was like the best way to learn.
I 100% agree.
Right, because you're like going over the material, and so I really like that. So as a successful student, tell us what a typical week at LaSalle looks like for you.
Okay. Well, being in the sciences, I feel like our schedule generally goes from like 9:30 to like 3-ish with classes, or like depending on when lab days are. So those are dedicated to school. And when I'm in class, I make sure that I'm paying attention. Anything that comes out of the professor's mouth is going to be in my notebook. And that's one of the best things that I learned how to do. Because as long as I have all the information, I can go and figure it out later. It doesn't matter if I need to like know it right there and then in class, but I will figure it out. The other thing, my planner is my best friend. I cannot do school without it. Otherwise, I will forget what is due or where I have to be or if I have a meeting. And the other thing I feel like is honestly the Center for Academic Achievement has really helped a lot with tutoring and SI. Like I tutored with tests for like a whole year, I think probably. And it was the best thing. Like you were saying, it's like, even if you do understand like a little bit in class, but you just really solidified that. And it really just shows that, okay, I do understand it. And it's crazy how much you learn from that, because like 3 years later, and I still remember stuff that you taught me. And like, I didn't have to memorize that because I understood it after coming to your sessions.
And I think you hit on something important. It's also a confidence boost, right? Like, yes, I remember being like, you know everything. Like, here's maybe 1% of the information we can cover together. But other than that, you know everything. And so between tutoring and SI, the planner, I love. So that's something I would grab mine, but it's behind me. I always have my planner on me. I was just with a student like earlier, and they felt like they didn't have enough time. And I was like, sit down, write down everything. I block out when I go to the gym, when I'm driving, when I'm doing when I'm eating. Block that out and see how much time you actually have. And that time is probably spent on your phone. It's spent doing senseless things, because the way to use time efficiently is to know what time you have. And the only way to do that is to have a planner. I agree with you 100%. And then when it comes to taking notes, I agree. Another thing I started to do you have Dr. Sam for biochem?
I did have him, for biochem last year.
he was like the one, there were a few, but he was one of the people that I had to record. I had to record and then rewrite. Because I agree, if you have everything they said, then you know you have everything. You don't know it yet. You need to study it. And that's something I always say. I teach anatomy lab right now at Rutgers. And I always say at the end of lab, I'm like, I know you don't know it yet. Do you have all the tools you need to know it by next week for our practical? And that's how I always phrase it, because it's like, yeah, at the end of a 50-minute class, you probably don't know anything you just heard because your brain's tired. But if you have it written down, then you have the tools to know it. It's when you're not taking notes, you're drifting off, that kind of stuff. That's when. But awesome. So you tapped into, so obviously you've been tutored with me and you've been tutoring. Can you tell us a little more about your experience with the Center for Academic Achievement?
Yes. So I started off as a subject tutor my sophomore year, my junior year. So I guess like 3 years ago. And then last semester was the first time I SI'd, and I SI'd for General Chemistry 1 with Dr. Kramer. And I had some of like the same students come, because a lot of them are like freshmen coming from like general chemistry to like biology. And now tutoring or SIing for Bio 210, I get like the same kids, and I love like continuing that relationship throughout the year. But honestly, the one big difference with tutoring Bio 210 I noticed is I get so many more students, because a lot of them just aren't as comfortable with the material because there's so much material. And it's like, okay, do I want to like know a little of everything? Do I need to know anything like really deeply? Like, so that's the one big thing I noticed between tutoring that. But honestly, I really liked SIing Bio 210. I think it's really fun. And I love working with Dr. Dave and Dr. Diaz. They really like make you feel part of the team, almost like a little teacher. And I just love the kids. So it's like just fun to SI. It's like my fun thing for the week.
I agree. So chemistry, I can imagine chemistry is more like when I had a chemistry question, I'd go to SI one question and then leave. Like that is how chemistry works. Your tutoring for bio or SIing for Bio 210 is like a miniature classroom. Like they really want to rehear all the material. And I think for a lot of students, it's their first like lecture bio course. They don't feel comfortable asking questions yet. So that's your role. So and for students, if they're listening today, that is a safe space. I felt like so many students came to me and they're like, oh, I had this question, but I didn't want to raise my hand, or I didn't have enough time. That is totally fine. And for anyone struggling, if your course has an SI, just go and sit and don't talk. Don't talk to anyone. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to bring anything. You don't have to participate. Just sitting there and listening is already going to help you. So I'm glad that you've enjoyed your time here. I wish we could keep you forever, but I know if with medical school, you're going to have no time to do that.
Gosh, you're busy next year.
Yeah. So what would you like to say to a student that's hesitant about using the services? So obviously you've used them and you provide them. So what would you say to a student?
I'd say definitely use them if you can. I mean, they're free to students at LaSalle. And I feel like it's just something extra if you have the time and say the session like works in with your schedule, or subject tutoring. There's like different times you can schedule for. So that might be more like versatile for more students. I definitely say use them. I think it's helpful to learn from a student who did well in that course, went through, has like tips for like maybe tests or how they want to do homework and things like that. So it's always good to get like a second opinion. So I definitely think it's worth it to use it if you have the time.
Yeah, and you hit on the SI time might not work your schedule. One thing I always say to students, I'm gonna bounce off your piece of advice. My piece is actually take that survey seriously at the beginning of the semester. All SIs will say, hi, please take this survey. We're picking 3 different times. Only like 7 kids respond. And then mid-semester, everyone wants an SI session, and it's like, we already have these set times. I've held extra before, but take those seriously because you might need them. So definitely do that. And then finally, can you give us one piece of advice you'd give a prospective explorer? So LaSalle in general, you were saying how much you love it. So what's a piece of advice you give a new explorer?
I'd say definitely go out of your comfort zone. Try to meet as many people as you can. I know it's like nervous, but just think everyone's in the same boat. You know, everyone else is moving from home. We're all in a new environment. So try to get out, meet as many people as you can. And people even not in your major. I think it's fun to like learn from different people. I mean, my roommate's like a political science and a computer science major. So it's like fun to see like the different stuff. So you're not like learning this or knowing the same stuff from like the same people like all the time in the same classes. Definitely go out, try to do activities. That's always a fun way to meet people, and it's fun to like get out. Also, late night LaSalle, if anyone goes, those are really fun. They had like massages last week. or like chocolate covered strawberries and
Nice.
stuff. And they're so fun. So definitely recommend those. But just try to get out. And I feel like that's how you make the best of your like 4 years here because it goes by so fast.
Isn't it crazy? Now you're I feel like I probably said that to you and all of a sudden it does go by. So it's so crazy.
Yes, you did say it and it really did. I mean,
Nobody believe even grad school, like I got medical school you'll have like rotations and stuff, but the actual school like I'm already 2 years into a PhD program and it's
that's
just
so
flown
crazy.
by. I know. I probably have like only 2 or 3 years left. So something that felt like insurmountable at points, I'm literally already like about to go over that hump, literally. So you'll get through it. But yeah, I think meeting people is important. Like you said, activities, clubs, like just join stuff because a lot of students, myself, I took so many naps freshman year. I think of all the times I just was like, nope, I'm not going, I'm not doing anything. You don't meet people that way. You have to go out, join clubs. I loved late night LaSalle bingo. I like dragged my
Oh
roommates
my
there
gosh,
every year. I had
what
so
a
much
phrase.
fun winning stuff. So yes, I agree completely.
Yeah.
But it was so nice to touch base with you today.
Nice to see you too.
Thank you for joining the podcast, and I'm so excited to hear about your success in the future.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yay.